This is episode 1 of season 3 of Paper Cut for December 21st, 2022. Welcome to season 3 of Paper Cut, the Nyack Library and the Mamaroneck Library podcast. I'm Tracy Dunstan.
I'm Morgan Strand.
And I'm Rosemary Farrell.
And today we are talking about Whiteout, a novel. And this anthology is by Dhonielle, Clayton, Tiffany D. Jackson, Nic Stone, Angie Thomas, Ashley Woodfolk, and Nicola Yoon. A lot of great people. Was really excited to read it. So here's a little summary. Atlanta is blanketed with snow just before Christmas, but the warmth of young love just might melt the ice in this novel of Black joy and cozy, sparkling romance by the same unbeatable team of authors who wrote the New York Times bestseller, Blackout.
Which I have, but haven't read yet. I want to though now.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It's really good.
So I just wrote a couple notes about like what I was looking up the authors and why they wrote this book and what they felt about it. And the Dhonielle Clayton, I didn't realize she started the We Need Diverse Books movement, which is cool.
Yeah.
And she wanted to create a story centered on the lives and loves of Black teens. And like Blackout, she wanted to show different relationships, but she wanted to twist it a little bit by having like a dude in distress instead of a damsel in distress. And then the different tropes, I guess, for the romances. So she had like exes to lovers, enemies to lovers, forced proximity, and then best friends to lovers. And then another one of the authors said that they was talking about writing the book too, and she was saying that she remember when she was growing up, she saw a lot of books where the Black characters were always like the sassy best friend. So she wanted to create a book where like you could see yourself. There's all these different versions of different types of Black or people of color representation, and it wasn't just the sassy best friend. They were the main character energy and all that jazz. So I thought that was really good, really cool.
I agree. For me, I think I came to Tracy and said like we should do this book because I had just read Blackout and it was just so good. Like it took place on one day in New York City. There's a blackout, and then there's all these different stories by the same authors, and they all have like a part of them that comes together. So they all go, and it was just amazing. I love, like you said, Tracy, it just showed Black and POC characters in different roles than most books show them. And it showed love in different ways. And it was just really like in friendship, families, relationships. It was just really well done. So when I saw Whiteout, at first I was like, I don't know, because I saw the cover and I was like, is this going to be like a Christmas kind of thing? And like, I'm not one of those people that likes the Christmas movies and like the Hallmark girl. Sorry, guys, that's not me. But I was like, you know what? Same authors. I'm going to do it. And it was really good. It was really good. My only thing that I wish I would have done differently was to listen to the audiobook version, because I bet that like hearing the different voices for the characters would have been an amazing touch, like something extra.
It was really cool. I really liked it.
Yeah, I should have done that. I might still do it.
So did they have, in the audio version, Tracy, obviously they had different readers for each of the characters, or was it the same person who read them?
Yeah, they had like 12 people doing all the different voices. And then they had different like ways. Some were like super Southern, some were kind of like, I don't know, they had different accents based on the character, which was fun.
That's cool. I might have to listen too, because there was a couple of times where I was like, okay, who is this? Like because I think if I'd sat down and I wish I'd had time to do this, like just read it all at once, because it's a relatively quick read. Then I wouldn't have this issue where it's like, okay, who is this person? Who are they related to? Because there was a lot of not only different friendships and different partnerships and different couples, but there was all the family stuff going on. So sometimes I would think, all right, who's that? Were they in this book already? And I got to like flip back. But overall, like, I really enjoyed it. I say I'm not a Hallmark movie person either. But I did, it's very appropriate for the season. But I did really enjoy reading something. I don't usually read YA books. on a regular basis. So I enjoyed reading the YA book and reminding myself what it felt like to be that age, and that feeling of, I think it did a great job, no matter who, all the different couples, of showing how, like, how, I mean, love is always intense, no matter what kind of love it is. But when you're a teenager, it's like, if this person doesn't like me, I'm just gonna die. That I can't get up the next day. Like, I cannot go on. And, it's something that, I mean, it can happen at any age, but it's really like, everything is like that. The stakes are so high when you're in the, like, late teen, like I guess mid to late teens, early 20s, these characters are in. And I liked how they had, like, was it Maurice and who's the guy with the drones? Ern? I don't know how to pronounce his name. The one who worked at the stadium, and his boyfriend Maurice. So they had the different generations. They had the parents. They had like the mid-20s, late 20s couples. I mean, they focused on the teens, obviously, but so you had different perspectives on relationships and love. And like you said, Morgan, like, not just romantic love, but family love, friendship love, and the deepness of that, and which is something that in general sometimes gets a short shift. It's like, it's all romance or it's nothing. And that's just not the way life is. And you're really missing out if you don't try to experience all different kinds of love. But it's something that you learn as you grow, that love does not just mean romantic love. It means all these other kinds of love.
Right. I agree with you. I think that love was shown so well in so many different ways. I definitely agree. And because of that and how it was shown so many different ways, and it wasn't so much on the romance aspect. I mean, it was, but it wasn't like so crazy or explicit. I think the book is great. Like you said, you're not a big YA reader, but I think that the book is good for younger tweens, but also for adults, because I think there was only one part that was like a little, I mean, you had to, like, if you thought about it, you knew what was happening, but otherwise it wasn't too much of the like explicit romance part. But the story was so good that it's appropriate for the different ages. I still think it's more appropriate for older tweens in high school and adults, but it wouldn't be, if I saw a tween with it, I wouldn't be like, oh no, put that down. I also liked that they were all so smart. All the teens were so smart, and like science was a big part of it, right? But it was also, they all were smart for different reasons. And it was just, again, so cool to see all these POC characters coming from these like really cool families, being so smart. The first story was all about, I mean, love, and like her science experiment about like, is love for teenagers real, or is it all like, a fraud? And that's what kind of caused everything to go downhill. And that was a really cool thing to see. I don't know, I love that they all came together to pull off a plan. I love, like you said, Rosemary, they showed relationships with the families, and like the parents and everybody were involved, but it wasn't really about them. It was really good.
My only complaint is that I feel like they had maybe one or two many couples or characters. Like, it got, even in the audiobook, I was like, wait, who now? Like, it was just like kind of like, it had like a nice thread, but then towards the end it was like, maybe we should cut down a little bit on the characters, because it got a little confusing and it was a little bit repetitive towards the end.
Now, are you guys fans of anthologies? Is that something that you go towards, or do you stay away from anthologies?
Depends. Like this book, I guess it's an anthology in a way, but I love books that are short stories that somehow add up to a novel. And I love stories like this where a minor character in one story shows up as like the major character in another story. Because when I'm reading a novel, especially if it's something I really love, there's, the protagonist, the antagonist, whatever, the main characters, but there's all these periphery characters. And sometimes those people grab you and you're like, I would really love to read a book about just this person and what they're going through. So I loved in this book, I mean, there's the main characters that pop up over and over again, but then the authors do this great thing where the like the taxi driver, the crazy Christmas car, shows up a couple times. He almost runs over Jimmy when he's down the road. Then he shows that, like, one of the other characters mentions, oh, we got a ride from this guy in this crazy red and green taxi, and he's got all the I love the scene where he has all the different music for whatever holiday is going on. I thought that was really funny. Yeah, I love that kind of stuff. I mean, I read anthologies. I like to write short stories, so I read short stories quite often, more than a lot of other people probably. So I do read anthologies of very, completely separate stories, but books like this and books like Jennifer Egan, which is she writes books for adults, but she has a couple of books that are like that, where there's short stories and the characters recur. And sometimes they're like in the forefront and sometimes they're pulled back. And I'm really impressed that 6 people wrote this book, because it doesn't read, I mean, there's sometimes you can sort of pick up slightly different styles, but I would easily believe this was one author. Like, it's not jarring. I
agree.
So that's really freaking impressive. I couldn't imagine like collaborating with 5 other people to write a book like this.
I agree. I wrote something down about it because I was like, so for me, anthologies, I like them just in general. This is the second time, because I read Blackout, but the first situation where I've read books where they all came together, but in general, I like anthologies. But I just wrote something down, and I was like, even though separate writers were used for each of the stories, they all fit together seamlessly. They all felt like the same voice was in charge. It was also a breath of fresh air to listen to a story about Black teens who have aspirations and focus on achievements. Everything about it was lovely. It all came together. So yeah, it was really a great job by all the authors. I don't even know how they did that, because that's a lot.
Well, I was in that same article that I found. Apparently they kept a running Google Doc where they just had she was very intense. Dhonielle
Wow.
was keeping track of making sure that all the scenes made sense and how everything had to
Wow.
line up.
That's awesome. That's smart.
Right?
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Yes, they set themselves up pretty well with the way each section starts with a place and a time. So I guess that's how they fixated on that. It's like, okay, now we're here and everything has to come together at the end, like a mosaic. And I loved the fact that, obviously, besides what you guys were saying, that people of color just being represented in all their glory and all their aspirations and different intelligences and what they love and what they do. Also, obviously, the characters are LGBTQ plus, and there was everyone was very just chill about it. It was just the way people were. And even the Nigeria, was it the family, Sola and Stevie, was the two the main couple.
Stevie was not chill. Stevie was not chill. Stevie was stressed out.
He was sort of the opposite of chill. I'm just talking about their sexuality and their gender expression. No, there were definitely some very unchill characters, like neurotic, and I totally dug that because I'm completely anxious and neurotic all the time these days. And wanting to control things that you really can't control. But even the family, the dinner scene, which was, I liked how they hinted at this big argument or big event that sort of split Stevie and Sola. And at first I thought, okay, it was just the experiment. But then you get to the scene where Sola is remembering the experience of the dinner, where they were basically going to come out as girlfriends to her family, who are, I believe, a bunch of them were visiting from Nigeria. Yeah. So that was really cool, because you get a whole other sense of Blackness with the African family there. It's very different. They were nervous about it, but it didn't seem like they were worried that the family would, disown them or, reject them. But I loved how that's when I felt like the stakes were deepened and heightened, and whatever you want to call it, when you realized how Stevie behaved at the dinner. The muscle relaxants, I shouldn't give too much away. Anyway.
And I like how,
right?
It wasn't really all just the fact that they were coming out. It was the fact that how she acted too, which I thought was kind of cool. That book was more.
It was
Yeah.
cringeworthy though. I was
Yeah.
like, oh God. And speaking of like the LGBTQ part, like back to Stevie, Stevie's father was a reverend or a pastor or something with church. And even their interactions in the beginning of the book when like the father is like about to go meet the mom at the mall and the father is just saying, like it came up, the relationship, and it seemed like they're cool with it. And he's, you know, big in the church and it wasn't a thing. The only issue that he was having was more so with like, it was like pronouns and name choice.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that he had a problem. I think he was just struggling because that's his baby. And, you know, but it was just very well handled by the writers, how they did it. And it wasn't such a big deal. Everyone was chill in that sense, parents and teens, and it just flowed. It didn't feel unnatural. And yeah, and man, what a snowstorm it would be.
Yeah, and it was what, 6 inches, but because it's Georgia, it's just
right. I think that one of the characters said that too. Like, you can't have anything in Georgia; they're gonna freak out. Like it was nothing. Here we'd be at work.
yeah. We would be at work and the kids would be at school. And I was wondering, like, and there was a lot of intimate scenes. I'm not talking necessarily physically intimate, but, you know, emotionally intimate scenes. And then there was one scene later on in the book with Stevie and Sola that was a little more, I'm not even gonna say explicit, but it was more about them, you know, making out. And I thought it was like, I'm, you know, being 55, I've thought back to the books that I read back, you know, with the YA books that existed. They didn't even call it YA, but like, you know, the classics like Judy Blume and stuff like that. How, you know, there were so few scenes like that in YA books at all, books for teens, like nothing, you know, maybe kissing, and that was it. And then I was wondering, like, I don't know if there's any, I didn't get to do research into this, but I was wondering if people, like, if anyone's tried to get this book censored or banned or any of that for many reasons, obviously, but like saying that this is inappropriate for kids to read.
I think it's new, but I'm sure it's coming because of all the LGBTQ things, you know. So I'm sure somebody will have an issue. It's too new, but don't worry, they'll get to this book soon.
Don't worry, they're gearing up. They haven't gotten to this one yet.
They have to.
You know, I was thinking this is exactly the kind of book people are gonna get upset about. And it's exactly the kind of book that needs to be
right
everywhere, you know,
right.
That needs to be in every library and in schools so kids can read it and not feel like they're, you know, not feel alone or see themselves represented in a book. And yeah, I guess we'll see. I'm going to keep an eye out to see.
It reminded me of so many teens that come into the library, like pages that we've had work here. Like I'm thinking of all the science and like all the things, and I'm like, wow, we have such smart teens. And then when I read this, I was like, so is this based off Nyack High School? Because this is amazing. It's so it's so cool. Again, how relatable, believable, the stories, the backgrounds, everything is just so well done. I had a question, and I didn't ask you guys this beforehand, so you're gonna have to think of your answers on the whim. So of the 6 authors, first part, I guess, of the question is, have you read something from each of these authors? And if you have, which author would you say is your favorite, or has had your favorite book of the 6, not of all time, you know, but like of these people?
I think just The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. I think I own Everything's Everything by Nicole Yoon, but I haven't read it yet.
Yeah, I was the same. The Hate You Give is the only one that I've read. Like I said, I don't read a lot of YA books. So I recognize the names, just working in a library and also having a teenage daughter. But I haven't read them.
I mean, I am the teen person, so I have read all of these books. I will say, for me, Miss Tiffany Jackson, your books are scary. So, you know, there's a lot of, they can get dark, but they also cover topics that are just like Black Girls Missing, and how them going missing is not really covered by the news the same way, someone else may be covered. I think I have read a book from everyone here. I think my favorite book, it's hard because I did love, of course. Ooh, I don't know. This is really hard. I think I'm going to say Everything, Everything. I loved Everything, Everything. It was amazing. Like I said, I love all of these authors, but Everything, Everything was a really great story, had a crazy twist at the end. And the movie made me a little sad because it wasn't as good as the book, but yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, now I'm thinking like my daughter owns all of Nicola Yoon's books, probably because she started reading them. They take them out of the library, and then she loved them, so I bought them for her. But
Right.
I have to check that one out because I'm looking online, looking at the covers, and I recognize all of them. They're all in her bedroom, so I can just go in and borrow them that way.
We did Monday's Not Coming, which is Tiffany D. Jackson's book. We did that for the high school book club here at the library. And like I said, it was a lot. It was rough, but it was really well done. So all of these authors, I really like them. Nic Stone has had some great books. So it was a great choice to have these 6 people together.
And we were talking about Hallmark Christmas movies. I mean, it's really Hallmark territory because they're not like from a small town coming back to
from the big city.
Go back, reunite with their high school sweetheart. But this would make a great film.
My gosh.
They're going to adapt it apparently.
Oh, they already got a film?
Are they going to do this one or Blackout?
It said, I think this one, Netflix is going to do something with it.
Oh, awesome. Rosemary, did you read Blackout?
No, I'm going to read that next. I haven't.
They're both so good. Yeah. So good. But I can't wait. Oh my gosh, you just got me so excited. It's going to be on Netflix.
And I'm glad it wasn't too Hallmarky because my sisters make me watch all of those movies and I hate them. So I'm glad this wasn't.
I can't do it. I can't do it. And it was so funny because I was talking to another teen librarian. I'm like, oh, like, what are you reading right now? And she's like, oh yeah, I'm really into like the Christmas YA books. And I'm like, oh, okay. It's not really my thing. Like, I don't know. But those are the people that like the Hallmark movies. So you know what? Hallmark has it right because people love it and they keep watching them. Now Netflix is down with them too, and they're making all these Hallmarky kind of Christmas movies. Lindsay Lohan has one. So you know what, ladies? Maybe we are missing the mark and we should start watching them.
I've watched
for the outliers.
So many. They're awful. There's so many.
The perfectly decorated homes and I think I tried to watch. I don't think I made it through the whole thing. I was sitting, it was like a bad weather day, didn't feel like doing anything. I'm like, I'm gonna like be all cozy and sit on my couch and watch one of these really Christmassy movies. I just couldn't.
I refuse.
Telling you, I felt like I was assaulted by Christmas. It's just too much.
That's funny. Now, are romance movies and books like your go-to, both of you, or is that like your genre?
I will say I really liked Bridgerton because Purnell, who works at the library, talked me into reading one of them, and I actually really liked it. But normally not. I don't go for romance that much.
I'm a romance girl.
I'm not really a big romance, but then I think about some of the books I love. Like, I mean, Jane Austen is an obvious thing that's sort of become this franchise where her stories are adapted over and over and updated, and I think I love that stuff. Like, not just the books, but if there was a channel that was devoted to just like Jane Austen adaptations, that kind of crap, that would be my version of the Hallmark movie channel. And like and you could put Bridgerton in that too, that that whole vibe. And I would probably just watch those movies all day. And there's all these different, like, there's the teen versions of Jane Austen stuff, like Clueless, and was it 10 Things I Hate About You? No, that's Shakespeare.
Yeah. No, that's Shakespeare. Yeah. Shakespeare.
But all that kind of stuff I love. And I love sort of darker romantic things, like comedies, or because I can't take too much frothiness, and But
Got it.
I've watched the Sandra Bullock stuff and
Yeah, I'm thinking about it now, and like I like romance, I guess, when it comes to books, and not too much. Like I don't like it to be too sappy. Like I like a good love story, and I like twists in them and stuff.
yeah,
But then like there's some movies like Love Actually. I tried so hard. It was so hard, and I watched it because someone told me there was like a scene that I needed to see. And at the end of the movie, I was like, my God, this was so that was hard to watch. I like oh man, like just I don't know what like you would call the genre, but like it just like not like just regular just sappy love stories. Like I like there to be a little twist in there. The Firekeeper's Daughter, that book. It's another YA book. It's about a Native American like teens, and there's like a lot of stuff going on there. There's romance in there, but then there's also like a crazy I don't want to give too much away, but there's murder, there's like it's like true crime, there's like a whole bunch of stuff that comes with it. So I guess, and it was a really, really popular book. So yes, it had that romance part, but it wasn't like the whole focus. So I think that even like I said, everything, that book was about the romance, but it was also about a sick teen. And then there's like this whole big twist. So it's like it keeps you engaged because it's not just like I love him and she loves, oh my God. And like, so yeah.
Yeah, like I like for Hunger Games, like I like the romance in that story, like where it's part of it, but it's not the whole thing, isn't like you're saying about the whole thing.
Right.
Good questions, Morgan.
Thank you. I really like this book. So it was like, I was thinking about things that I would, because it was so good. So I do a high school book club at the Nyack High School. So we bring books every month that we want to book talk to try and get them to read for the next month. So last month we read Blackout, and I had recommended that. And then this month I was like, well, one of the books I'm going to show you is Whiteout. And I was like, well, like they were like, oh yes, let's read it. And I was like, okay. And I was like, Tracy, we got to do this book. It's so good. It's about winter. It's perfect. Like it's like it goes with everything that's going on now. It's not just one author. So we're talking about a bunch of people. And like, then it got me thinking about questions. And it's just, I don't know. I really like this book.
And it seems like it's perfect for kids who don't consider themselves big readers.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, it's like, because of all the short, different sections of it, and just the text messages. That's pretty cool too.
Right. The group chats. And like, even though, like you said, even though it's 6 authors, 6 stories, it's a lot going on, it's a quick read. So you could read one story and then take a break, or you could just keep going. For me, I think I read like 3 and then I took a break, but it still read quick, and it wasn't like hard. Well, it was a little hard to keep up with some of the characters, but it wasn't hard to keep up with the story. We knew what was going on and what everybody's mission was. So yeah.
Yeah, they did a great job. They had the suspense built in right from the get-go. Like, are they gonna be able to pull this off? Because one of the things, like when anyone takes a writing class or things, like you have to have the idea of a clock ticking, especially when you're writing a short story too. There's got to be a time frame that you're working on. So there was that right from the beginning, and you throw in the snow, and you throw in all the different places that people were. I thought they did a great job. I've never been to Atlanta, but I felt like I could figure out. I got a good sense of where they were and what those places were like. I love the description of the aquarium. I love the description of the Fox Theater and the stadium and all that, and the different bridges. I like knowing like where I am geographically in a story, because otherwise I get distracted. And I thought they did a good job with that without overdoing it. You know what I mean?
You definitely got I've only been to Atlanta a couple times, but I got like the vibe of it. It definitely didn't feel like it was New York. It felt like it had to be take place in Atlanta, which was cool.
I've never been to Atlanta, but I know about that mall, or not mall, whatever, because they kept saying it's not a mall. So whatever the name is, I forget it right now, but I knew about that already. So I was like, oh, okay, this is cool that we're gonna like do this. I do want to go to Atlanta. I would love to experience this. I thought it was really cool.
So if 5 stars, what stars would you give this book?
4.5.
Yeah, I'd say 4.5 too.
Same. Yeah, I really liked it. It was cute. It was a good read.
Yeah, I will definitely watch the Netflix version to keep my eye out for it.
So who would be your favorite character in the book if you had to pick one?
Jimmy's sister. I like the whole like guitar. It was a little unbelievable with her, like, oh, you happen to be famous and we're gonna hang out and whatever. But but I liked her the way she was. Her character was really cool. I could relate to her.
Because Atlanta, there's like celebrities everywhere. So I don't know if I feel like it's possible for, to be a thing.
That was the only thing, is I felt a little bit was like, you guys are all 18, 20, like these aren't gonna last forever probably, but it was cute.
Listen, you can't tell them. You don't know. I think my favorite character was Stevie, because I am that same kind of person. I am always stressed out and overthinking things and thinking it's too good to be true, and trying to find all the reasons why something, it can't be what it is. And I don't know, I just found like the whole situation to be relatable, and yeah, I really like Stevie.
I guess I really liked, and they were sort of latecomers to the story, is like Ava and Mason's story, because I love the aquarium scene, and
Yes.
how I could relate to the idea that they'd already figured, they thought they knew what the other person was thinking, so they didn't bother to say what they were, how they felt, and they were letting this sort of misunderstanding get in the way of the relationship. But they finally do actually tell each other how they feel. They patch things up. I mean, sometimes I thought, I guess, during the course of the book, maybe it's because I'm an old, cynical, middle-aged lady. I mean, I remember that feeling of, your first love, the person that first really fall in love with outside of your own family, and how intense it is, and you can't imagine it never ending. So sometimes when I was reading, I was like, this is great, guys, enjoy it while it lasts. But you never know. I know I have friends who've known each other since they were in high school, and they're still married after like 30 odd years, and they still like each other. So
See?
Possible. Anything is possible. Anything is possible.
Yeah, I'm with you, Rosemary. I was kind of like, maybe I'm just cynical, but okay, guys. But you never know. You never know.
Okay, so let's talk about upcoming programs. I am going to talk about children's and teen programs. We have a lot of great stuff going on in the children's room. There are so many programs for literally every age, from 0 to 5th grade. There are some great programs. For the younger children, we have Mother Goose, preschool, and toddler time. There are 3 different story times where we do stories and songs for the appropriate ages. Mother Goose time is on Wednesdays from 11 to 11:30, and it's for 0 months, so newborns, to 12 months. And like I said, 11 to 11:30 on Wednesdays. Preschool story time is for ages 3 to 5. Preschool story time is on Tuesdays from 11 to 11:30, and that's for ages 3 to 5. And it's longer stories and songs, and it's really cool. And we have toddler time on Fridays from 11 to 11:30, and that's for 12 months to 3 years. So we have story times for 0 to 5 years. That's great. We also have a bunch of programs for school-age children as well. So you can check the website, you can call us, we can help you sign up for programs, find out what's available for your child. On to teen programs. We have a lot of cool stuff going on. So we have separated the programs into middle school programs and high school programs, just to give those two different groups their own space, their own time, age appropriate things. I'm just going to talk about a few. For the middle schoolers, we have manga book club. We have, which is on Thursdays from 4 to 5, once a month. We have tween movies. We're showing a different movie every month. Once a month, it's on Fridays from 4 to 5:30. Middle school book club is on Tuesdays, once a month from 4 to 5. And board game club, which is just on Tuesdays, every Tuesday, just come to the teen room, play with us. And for the high schoolers, on Wednesdays from 4 to 5, once a month, we have the graphic novel book club. We also on Tuesdays have the Lit Squad book club, which is just a high school book club. And we have teen crafts, and that's on Mondays, twice a month from 4 to 5. Every Monday from 5:30 to 7:30, we have English homework help, and that's for grades 6 through 12. So you can come in, you don't make an appointment, you just come, first serve. And whether you have an assignment, homework that you're stuck on, or if you want us to look over a paper you've written, we can do any of that, just helping you prepare for a test, whatever you need, English related, we can help you.
That all sounds great, Morgan. Chief. We have 2 new recurring programs, ESL or English as a Second Language, and also Italian Conversation. ESL is going to be every other Saturday at 2, I believe, and then the Italian Conversations every other Friday at 12. But double check on our website, niaclibrary.org, and we also have a bunch of other programs coming up too as well.
Cool. So Mamaroneck Library is celebrating its centennial all of 2023. So there's every month there's special programs going on, sort of to correspond with the decades, like January's the 20s, February's the 30s, et cetera, et cetera. So in January, we have a book discussion and a film screening of The Great Gatsby. And also on the 18th, I think it's, yes, the 18th at 6:30, we have a special film event next door to the library's a theater called the Emmeline. And we're going to show a silent film called The Three Ages, which is Buster Keaton's first feature film. And we have a local composer musician whose name is Kurt Cobell, who composed an original score for the film. So he's going to come and play it while we show the film. And on, let's see, on Zoom with Tracy, we're doing a collaboration. January Organizing Jumpstart with Jamie Novak, who has quite the following. I think that's January 12th at 7 o'clock on Zoom. So if you can't come over the bridge, you can Zoom in with us too.
Those all sound good. Wow.
And our next episode, we're still figuring it out. So, but we're glad to be back, and hopefully we'll be back soon. We're thinking February. Maybe we'll do something with Kindred, maybe not. We'll see, but you'll see us soon.
So if you want to contact us, we have several different ways that you can do that. So on Twitter, it's at Nyack Library. Facebook is facebook.com/Nyack Library. We also have a website, it's nyacklibrary.org. And we are on YouTube. On YouTube, it's Nyack Library from Home. If you want to email us, the email to use is info@nyacklibrary.org. For Mamaroneck, the website is mamaronecklibrary.org. And their Facebook and Instagram name is Mamaroneck Library. For Facebook and Instagram, it's Mamaroneck Library. And on YouTube, it's Mamaroneck Public Library. I'm Morgan Strand.
I'm Tracy Dunstan.
And I'm Rosemary Farrell. And thank you for listening to episode 17 of Paper Cut.
Paper Cut, the Nyack Library podcast, is presented by the Nyack Library with the Mamaroneck Library. It is hosted by Morgan Strand, Rosemary Farrell, and Tracy Dunstan. It is edited and produced by Tracy Dunstan.